Okay, so welcome again, C2T2. Today is different ways to edit text in Adobe Acrobat Pro. It's not going to be a particularly long training. I should have you out of here max 40 minutes, but we'll see. But as usual, I'm going to start with the shameless self-promotion piece, like at the beginning of every session over here. So the March schedule is going to be posted in the bulletin next Monday. Okay, so we're going to be in March, we're going to be talking about things like PowerPoint and PowerPoint accessibility. All right, so that's going to be a big thing in March. Amongst other, we're going to be doing a variety of AI stuff in March, like Copilot Library and Copilot Teach. All right, and we'll be doing the usual accessibility training. I don't have the schedule sitting in front of me at the moment. So on Monday, it will post for all of March's trainings. You will see the schedule. And then starting in March, as usual, every Monday, that particular week's training will post in both the bulletin as well as in Campus Connect. Okay, so be set for that. And, I hope to see all of you all those weeks in March. Okay, so what we're talking about today is editing text in Adobe Acrobat. Now, editing text in Adobe Acrobat is really kind of a preference thing and sometimes a convenience thing. You have a PDF in front of you that you see needs some kind of modification. And you need to make that modification. You need to do it now. What do you do? Well, Adobe Acrobat has the capability to edit text in a variety of different ways. And up to this point, it has had a reputation for being a couple of pennies short of a nightmare. So any of you who have edited text in Acrobat knows that traditionally, the editing process is not perfect at all. And sometimes the text is imperfect and that the fonts can come out weird and the spacing can come out weird and you move stuff around and it messes up the content. And basically the bottom line has been that Adobe Acrobat has not been the ideal method of going ahead and editing your text. However, I do want to tell you that as of now, what has happened is that Adobe has added a few little surprises into its latest version of Acrobat. So the first thing you guys have to make sure you do is make sure you have the latest version of Acrobat going on your computers. If not, it should update automatically if you've got Adobe Creative Cloud running on your computer, then those updates should be pushed to your computer. The operative word is should. If not, if you have any doubt, then what you need to do is you need to talk to, hang on 2 seconds over here. You need to talk to the service desk and you need to have them place the latest version of Adobe Acrobat. Now, I'm looking at my version of Adobe Acrobat over here, and I am seeing that I don't have that latest version. That's just great. So, what should be happening over here is I should have an extra piece of tools over here where I could actually take this document and bring it into Adobe Express. So I'm going to get around it by uploading the document into Adobe Express. But what you should be seeing on your Adobe Acrobat is the ability to design in Adobe Express. Okay, they don't have that in this version, and I just found that out now. So, but we'll get to this. Okay, so first things first, how to edit text in a basic manner. It has improved. All you need to do, this is my syllabus, okay? And for my psychology class, all you need to do is go to All Tools and go ahead and make sure you click on Edit a PDF. If you edit a PDF, there will be a box that appears around the different text areas, and you can start typing as you would in any other document application, okay? When you are typing, you have the usual font options available to you. Okay, so for instance, I can highlight the text and I can change the fonts, the font attributes if I wish to. Okay, I can change the font itself if I wish to. Just like in any other program, I can play around with spacing if I wanted to, which can be a slippery slope. All right, so this is spacing between the lines in a paragraph. This is spacing between paragraphs. This one over here, as you can see. This is spacing between letters. And this actually resizes the letters themselves. Okay? Is everybody okay with this so far? Does anybody have any questions? We're good? Okay. So what you may, actually, before I get into that, any edits that you make in Adobe Acrobat have to now go along the lines of digital accessibility. So one of the things you do not want to do is really screw around with this stuff to the point that it makes it difficult for the screen reader to understand what's happening. So the best thing to do is to leave the basics alone, leave the fonts alone if you possibly can, and just play around with what the text says. And then after you're done with your edits, you should go in and check the accessibility of the document to see if the document itself has been affected in any way. Okay. Let me see what else I have over here. I can add content. I can add text. I can add an image. So I can go to another part of my document if I go all the way down, for instance. I can add text and should throw a text box in here somewhere. Come on. There we go. And here I can do my text wherever I want to put it. I can move the text around. This is probably not very unfamiliar to a lot of you who have had to deal with editing text in Adobe Acrobat. Okay, I can add an image if I wanted to in exactly the same way that I would add an image in Microsoft Word. I can add headers and footers, watermarks if I wanted to. I can add links, hyperlinks, just like I would in Microsoft Office, so that if I went ahead and I should be able to highlight this, okay, add a link, okay, come on. So what I do is I create the link, visible rectangle, go to a page view. I can go to a page view, open a file. Or I could open a web page. I can create a custom link. I'm going to go ahead and open a web page. I'm going to put in my URL and click OK. And now what I have is a link over here. Now, what I did was I created a visible rectangle. Will that pass muster for Adobe Acrobat accessibility? that has to be found out in the accessibility checker, okay? But that is how you can add a link. So far, so good. Is everybody okay with this? How about you? You good? Okay. Now, so this is all well and good. It doesn't take a lot for me to show you how to go to the edit tool and how to edit text. Everybody here knows how to edit text. But sometimes you need to do a little bit more extensive text editing than is convenient, okay, or effective within Adobe Acrobat. Remember, Adobe Acrobat is not meant fundamentally to be an editing tool. It is meant to be a viewing tool that you can interact with documents, either view them or interact with them if they are forms, but it is not really meant so much to be an editor like Microsoft Word. So one of the things I always tell people is that what you can do is you can take the document, if you've got an extensive editing that you need to do, you can take the document itself. And this is especially handy if you're having accessibility problems. You can take the document and you can export. You go to Menu, Export to Microsoft Word, and export it to Microsoft Word itself. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. So I'm going to save this document. It goes ahead, it takes everything, it turns it into a Word document. Microsoft Word will open. And now I have my document as a Microsoft Word document, and now I can edit at will in Microsoft Word. So show of digital hands. How many of you already knew this little trick? Okay, I got one, I got two people, okay, 3 people. How many of you have never used export to Word to edit a PDF? Show of digital hands. Anybody here? Okay, so it's good that I did this because you're going to find that this is a very handy and very effective tool, because what you can do is you can take the document into Word, you can do your edits. I don't think I need to show you how to edit in Word. You can take care of its accessibility as far as you possibly can in Word, okay? And then when you are done, you can re-export into Acrobat. Now, in Word, there are a variety of ways to export into Acrobat. The simplest way to do it is to go to File, and you can go ahead and save a copy. You can save it as a PDF, okay? The other way to do it is save as Adobe PDF. But what that doesn't do is necessarily transfer all the accessibility over. So the best way to re-import back into a PDF from Microsoft Word, once you're done with all your edits, is as long as you have Adobe Acrobat Pro installed on your computer, you should have an Acrobat tab here, okay? And you will have these buttons. One of the buttons is Create PDF and Run Action. For whatever reason, I have to click it twice, because then the second time I click it, it will become a menu. Then I'm going to click Make Accessible. Am I going too fast for anybody? I want to make sure that I've got everybody on the same page with me. I'm going to click Make Accessible. It's going to want to save it, so I'm going to save it. It's going to open Adobe PDF Maker. It's going to take what I have in Word. It's going to run its conversion engine. It's going to open the document in Word, okay? And what should happen is this. I should have this Start button here. So I'm going to click Start. This operation requires write access, allow. Now it wants to know what the title of the document is. Now it's into its accessibility operations. So now I'm going to simply make sure that it has the title. So I'm going to leave it as is. If there was no title here, I would uncheck it and put a title in, but it has a title. I'll click OK. I'm going to make sure that the language is correct. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to get the little process going on over here. And if you have form fields, you can say, yes, detect form fields. In this case, in this file, I have no form fields. So that's not going to be an issue. Skip this step. Again, I'm going to set the reading language to English. We'll detect all figures in this document, display any figures with missing alternative text. And I don't know what it's looking at. It's looking at this little invisible thing over here. So I'm going to mark it as decorative, telling the reader to ignore it. And then it's going to go into its accessibility checker. We're not going to go through the accessibility now. I'm just going to complete the process just to show how you can re-import back into Adobe Acrobat. Okay, it does its little thing. I've got a table issue and I've got a heading issue that I've got to deal with, but that's not for right now because we don't have the time. In any case, the document has been saved back into Adobe Acrobat. I would take care of whatever accessibility issues exist, but now I have the document edited as I would have really wanted to edit without any of the imperfections taking place within Adobe Acrobat. Okay, Champsy and Tammy, you guys both have your hands still up. So I just want to make sure nobody has a question. Okay, so if nobody has a question, that if you could take the hands down, that would be great so that I know that I don't have to answer any questions. Thank you very much. Okay, perfect. So that is the process of editing a PDF by exporting into Word. Now, why would you use this? Number one, if you have extensive edits that you need to use in your PDF and it's too much of a problem, too many imperfections doing it in PDF, then just import it into Word and work with it there. Another reason that you would use this is if you are having too many accessibility problems with your PDF, then you can import it into Word and take care of its accessibility there, and then re-import it back into Adobe Acrobat as I just showed you. Now, the accessibility of the document, because you've made it accessible in Word, is not necessarily guaranteed in PDF, but you will solve many accessibility problems that are unsolvable in Acrobat. And believe me, there are unsolvable accessibility issues in Acrobat. They still don't have it all together. By exporting to Word, doing your edits, making accessible, re-importing into Acrobat. One word of warning: if you do this with a fillable PDF that has fillable fields, that Word document will not have those fillable fields. So if you do that and you edit the Word document and you re-import it, you're going to have to recreate the fillable fields, either by letting Adobe detect them, or you're going to have to insert them again manually. So if you've got a document with a lot of fillable fields, you're probably going to want to stick to editing within Adobe Acrobat. Okay, how's everybody doing with this? We good? All right. Now, the third way that you can do this, and you guys can take a look, show of digital hands looking at your Adobe Acrobats. How many of you, when you click on All Tools and you click on Edit a PDF, have an extra piece here that says Design in Adobe Express? How many of you guys have that? Okay, so if you guys don't have that, that's actually a good thing, because then we can all be on the same page here. But what I will tell you is update your Adobe Acrobat to the latest version because it will have Design with Adobe Express. The beautiful thing about this is, okay, Catherine, you have it. Okay, so you are the lucky one in here. Cindy, do you have it? You would look to the left. If I'm going to go to All Tools, and I'm going to click on Edit a PDF, okay? It should be in here, okay? If you don't see Design with Adobe Express, then you don't have that tool, and then you need to update your version of Adobe Acrobat. But in any case, if you don't have it, we can get around it. Okay, Catherine, what you can do is you can click that button and it'll take you right into Adobe Express. It'll take that document right into Adobe Express. I'm just waiting. Catherine is typing. So hang on 2 seconds. Now, for those of you who do not know what Adobe Express is, I did a training on Adobe Express last semester. If you recall, I did a training on something called Copilot Create. That's Copilot's generative AI. Adobe Express, which is part of our whole Adobe license, is Adobe's generative AI Copilot Create type application. It creates documents, it creates all kinds of stuff. It creates banners, it creates posters, it creates, flyers, it creates generative videos, it creates all kinds of stuff. And the beauty here is you can take your PDF, you can upload it either manually if you don't have the latest version or through the design button. Okay, Cindy, so you're good. So you can click that button and it'll automatically take the document there. For the rest of us, because this particular Podium computer does not have the updated version and I have no way to update it on my own, ironically here. So this is why I'm stuck with this. But we're going to go in there. We're going to upload the document. So I'm going to go to express.adobe.com. Now, I don't know who here was in my Adobe Acrobat training. Oh man, I hope I don't have to do, because I'm phoneless today, so I don't have a way to, okay, so I don't have to do MFA. Thank you. Okay. I forgot my phone in my wife's car. Okay. And so I am phoneless today, which means I am non-functional in the world. So I'm glad I didn't have to do the number, the MFA number. But anyway, here we are. We are into Adobe Express. Okay. And in Adobe Express, you can take the PDF and you can edit it in a whole new variety of ways within Adobe Express in a much more graphical manner without all the imperfections, the text imperfections that you deal with within Adobe Acrobat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload my syllabus. I'm going to take this syllabus, I'm going to upload it into Adobe Express. It's going to go through the conversion. Those of you who have the tool, if you click that button, this process just happens and will open your document. Okay, for those of you who don't, who needs me to show you again the upload process? Does anybody here think I went too fast with that? Are we all good? Because if I'm not seeing digital hands, I'm assuming you guys are good. All right, so here is my PDF. And here I can start playing around with my text. I can start, and I'm going to zoom in because it's zoomed out pretty hard. So I'm going to, let me see what happens when I go into, well, 100% is a little too close as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to go over here to 50%. That's much more reasonable as far as we're concerned over here. Okay, so every piece of text is editable in the usual way. I can go in here, I can change, let's say I'm at Plattsburgh, right? And then I can expand this out to let it fit. I can change the fonts. Now, be careful, people. Don't go with the funky fonts. I'm just showing you that you can do this. If you're doing this for a document that is not concerned with accessibility, then go to town. But if you're doing this for an outward-facing PDF, then you need to be very careful how you are configuring your fonts to make sure that you are not making them weird or difficult for the screen reader to understand. But just to show you, I can play with all of these configurations. I have all of these fonts that I could work with, which I'm not going to. You guys, I just clicked this one. This one will probably not have an issue with the screen reader because it is a basic sans serif font. Okay, and then I have all of these attributes here that I can add, just like in Adobe Acrobat. I can change the color of the text, although for accessibility's sake, that is a big no-no. Okay, as far as your text is concerned, stay away from different colors, stick to black on white. Okay, and I can keep going on down. I can keep editing at will. It's almost as if I am editing within PowerPoint or the online version of Word. And the screwiness with the spacing and the fonts does not happen here. So you may be thinking, why should I even go through the effort of using Acrobat to edit my PDFs in the first place? Well, you no longer have to. You don't have to use Acrobat anymore to edit your PDFs, but you will have to use Acrobat to make sure it's accessible. So regardless of how you choose to edit this document, you're going to have to open it again in Adobe Acrobat and go through the accessibility checker. Okay, so when you are doing this, you have to perform these actions with accessibility in mind, because that will be the bottom line at the end of the document. Okay, so I have text over here, and I could do all kinds of other stuff in this document, which I'm not going to do, but I can add content. I could add media, elements, charts and grids if I wanted to. I can even hit the generative AI if I wanted to generatively create an image, a stock image in here. I could go to generative AI and we could go through a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go through the generative AI over here. You guys are all savvy and smart enough to play with this yourselves. Just remember, if you insert elements from generative AI or any of the other non-text elements, you're going to have to assess them in the accessibility checker in Acrobat in the end. So simplicity is the key. Don't add what you don't have to. Once you are done with your document, then you can either share it or download it. You want to in this case, we're going to download it back to my drive. So I'm going to have all pages, and then I'm going to select PDF best for documents or best for printing or any of these particular choices. Usually you're just going to have best for documents because that's the default setting and it will work in whichever scenario you need it to work. You put it back up forward facing on your website or on Brightspace or wherever it's going, it will be fine. All right, so I'm going to keep it at that. I'm going to add accessibility tags to this. See, there's a nice little tool over here that allows for accessibility to take place proactively. I'm not going to download as individual PDF files. I'm going to download it as the whole thing, and I'm simply going to download it. So now it's going to go through its process. All right, and there it is. There's my document. I'm going to open the file. Here it is, but I also want to open it in Adobe Acrobat. So get over here. Come on, open up. I'm going to go to my downloads. Should be there. It just happened right now. Boom. It opens it up in Adobe Acrobat. It should. Hold on a second. Let me just close this up so I can get the right file. I'm going to save it. Kind of menu, open. I'm going to hit my downloads folder. Should be my downloads folder right over here. Here is my edited document. You can see it's now SUNY Plattsburgh and it's bolded. Those are the edits that I created. And now let's see if I have an accessible document. So I'm going to go to prepare for accessibility, check for accessibility, start my checks. And I'm not doing too badly. I've got a couple of little things here. Title failed, which is a very easily fixed problem. I'm just going to say syllabus. Click OK. And I have an accessible document. Now, this is a very simple document. It is only a text document. There are no fillable fields. But just so you can understand where you can take this document, where you can edit it and bring it back and make it accessible. In fact, Adobe Express will put tags on your PDF and will make it more accessible. Doesn't mean it'll be 100% accessible. You still have to go through the check. But there you go. Any questions, guys? Am I going too fast for anybody? Is there anything that anybody would like me to repeat? Okay, I am going to interpret the lack of hands as I have explained adequately. Okay, the last piece of this is where is it here? I'm going to open up another file. The editing of form fields, right? So a lot of you guys are probably working with form fields. So I'm going to, there was a file that I had, and unfortunately I closed the document before I, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to find that file. So if you guys can give me 1 minute to find the file that I need that has form fields in it. So I'm going to go over here to my files. I'm going to go here to C2T2, Adobe Edit Text, and I'm going to open, this is the file that I need, leave of absence application. So let me open that in here. Open, WebRP. Actually, I'm going to go into here. So hang tight, guys. I'll get it. C2T2. Leave of absence application. Okay, there we go. There is my document with a whole bunch of forms. Remember, I can export this to Word, but I'm going to lose my fields. So you want to be careful of that, especially when you've got a document that you've got a lot of fields that you've had to work with. Okay, now, how many of you have never edited form fields in a PDF? Raise your hands digitally or for real in the classroom. So, okay, so it's not a hard thing to do, but it's tricky. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to go to all tools, and if you don't see it here, you have to hit view more. And you need to find prepare a form. That is what you're going to be clicking. And what happens is now each individual form field is now highlighted with its name. So each individual form field has its border around it. It has its name. The name has to be unique for every form field. No two form fields can have the same name. I will show you where to find that. It's actually pretty easy. Okay? Now, these guys over here are supposed to be signature fields. So here's my recommendation for this, guys. If you are going to be editing a PDF that you're going to want one person to sign and you're going to be using fill and sign, then you're going to be using form fields that will be for signatures. But if you're going to be preparing a form for Adobe Sign, you do not need to add these in. you will be adding them in Adobe Sign. It is my recommendation that if you're preparing a PDF for Adobe Sign, do not add signature fields in Adobe Acrobat. Add them in Adobe Sign. Now, I did an Adobe Sign training. Those of you who are not sure what I'm talking about, you know where to hit me. I'm at 2889. I will be happy to show you exactly how to do it. In Adobe Sign is where you insert the signature fields. You can insert a lot more than that. But in particular, just leave these empty here, put it into Adobe Sign, and then throw the signature fields in Adobe Sign. So that's just an aside that I wanted to let you know about. But in any case, in terms of editing the form fields themselves, all I need to do is double click on a form and its properties will show up. First of all, this is where you put its name. All right. So you can put its name in there and that's fine. I recommend, although it's not entirely recommended, but for cleanliness within the system, to leave out spaces. But you don't have to do that. But what you also need to put in here is a tooltip. That is an accessibility requirement because the tooltip is what's going to be read by the screen reader. It can be the same thing, or it can be what you want the screen reader to say. So, for instance, if I want the screen reader to say, insert your first name here, insert your name here, I can say, insert your name here. And the screen reader will say, insert your name here. All right? In any case, whatever you choose to put in here, that's what the screen reader is going to say. But you need to have something in there. If you don't, you're going to get errors in the accessibility checker. Okay? There are several different appearance configurations that you can play around with, which I wouldn't. If I were you, I would just leave these all to be default. All of this, the size and position, can actually be dragged around. So you can drag the size of the form field. You can drag the position of the form field around if I wanted to. I can just take it and put it anywhere I want, or I'm just going to put it right back over here. Okay. And there you go. That is how you edit form fields in Adobe Acrobat. Any questions about this? The cool thing about form fields is that if you need to add more, you can either go into adding a form field by going over here to text field, or you can right click on a form field and copy and paste one somewhere else in the document, right? So I can paste it. It's going to show up right over here. I'm going to put it wherever I want, and then I'm just going to go in here and change its attributes so it doesn't have the same name. So that is a little trick to make the process of putting other form fields in your document a little more efficient, a little faster. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that form field by making sure I select it and deleting it by just clicking the delete button. And there you go. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Because that's how you edit PDFs in a variety of different ways. Okay, so now you guys are going to go and you're going to make sure you have the latest version of Adobe Acrobat so that you can design with Adobe Express. But as you can see, you don't truly need it because you can just upload your PDF and work from there. But it's nice to have the latest version, okay? And you guys know where to get me. I'm at 2889. Next week, when we get together, we will talk about Copilot agents. Sounds scary, but it really isn't. A Copilot agent is what happens when you have something that you want Copilot to accomplish for you that requires several different steps, and that you want Copilot to look in certain places for its information. And so what you do is you go to Copilot and you create an agent, you describe what you want it to do, you tell it where you want it to look for its source information, and then it will create the agent for you. And the next time you're into that task, you can trigger that agent to complete those steps for that task in a single click. It's a relatively new feature that we're still wrapping our heads around, but I want to keep you guys on the cutting edge of this thing because it's there and it's going to be good to use it. Okay, so I really hope to see all of you guys there next Thursday. And that's it. This was a shorty. Thank you very much. And I will see you guys in a week. No problem. You're welcome to everybody. Let me kill the recording here. Stop recording.